It's a great day. My name is Che Brown, the Happy Entrepreneur, and welcome to the Happy Entrepreneur Show, the #1 business development and revenue focused late night show in the country where we are on a mission. And our mission really is to inspire. Our mission is to empower. And our mission is to provide you, that's right, you, the hard working entrepreneur, with all of the resources that are necessary to execute that big vision you have for the people you will call to serve. And on this episode, we have the one and only Michele Lance, and she'll be talking about empowering women so they can rise, shine, and succeed. Oh, you get all three. I can't wait to find out. What's going on, Michele? How you doing?
Oh, hey, Shay. I am so glad to be here. Thank you for inviting me. Looking forward to our conversation.
Well, it's an honor and a privilege, a treat and a treasure. And thank you to viewers for tuning in, by the way, because without you, we don't have a show. So thanks for welcoming us into your home. Maybe you're cooking dinner. You can listen in. Maybe we're on a podcast. Maybe you're working out. Maybe you're in the car. Wherever you are, thank you for being here. Okay, so let me ask, if we can, before we get started, because they'll read your bio, they'll see how famous you are and how cool you are. But we're talking about empowering women to rise, shine, and succeed. Take a moment. Let's just talk about those women that are career women as well. What's holding them back today from just rising and succeeding in today's world?
You know, I'm going to start with, I'm going to call it authentic confidence. So there's a difference between confidence and authentic confidence, because a lot of women go into corporate and they feel like they've got to meet a mold. It could be your entrepreneur. It could be anything you're doing as a career. People have to be their authentic selves. And sometimes that can be challenging when you feel you've got to fit a certain mold. Believe me, I've been there. I've seen where you're the only woman at the table. I've seen where you struggle to fit in whatever is going on in the organization. So I would say the first thing, Shay, is authentic confidence. That is one of the things that I see most often that hold women back. Because once you free yourself to be you, then everything kind of comes into place. The other thing that I'm going to say is you always must be a student of the business, whatever your business is, because if you're always one that's learning and open to grow, that makes you stronger. That makes you more capable. That makes you a better leader, whatever it is, whether it's entrepreneur or whether you're in corporate America. You got to be a student of the business.
You talked about you have to be a student. You talked about leadership. I know that's one of the characteristics I know you talk about often for someone to rise to the corporate ranks. Leadership means different things to different people. For the woman that's in the corporate side, or man, we're eavesdropping on this conversation. I know, John, we're eavesdropping. And they're like, wait a minute. What is her definition of leadership? And a two-part question. So don't worry, ladies and gentlemen, she can handle this. Definition of leadership. And then what about the person says, well, I don't have direct reports that work directly for me, but I'm still responsible for all the stuff. And I got to work through other layers. I know that's a little convoluted, but I'm just curious what your thoughts are.
So your first part, tell me again what you said.
What does leadership mean? What is your definition of leadership these days?
Yes, you're right, because it means so many different things to so many different people. In my perspective, leadership is about the ability to get others to be part of a collaborative team. It's about leading others to their best possible, leading them to places they never thought they could even achieve. And even from the entrepreneur side, right? If you think about leadership, it's about how do you brand your organization? How do you brand yourself? It's about standing out and standing up as a leader. And it's not always about you. It's about the people that you help and lift up with you to be their best possible. That's leadership to me. It's the ability to make significant change through others, leading them by a way of being authentic and true.
Love it. And I know this might be an unfair question, but for the person sitting there saying, well, I don't know what they call it these days, individual contributors. It's been a long time since I've been in corporate, but an individual contributor, they're there and they're like, well, I'm not really quote unquote the manager or the vice president or director because I don't have direct people underneath me. But I'm trying to be a leader because I'm still involved and I've got to work with all these other departments. I got to get things through. So although I'm not a leader of people, I'm still a leader of a process. What's one or two things you would recommend to that person that's trying to get to that spot where they do have people working for them? Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I
Well, the
know it's a
first
loaded
thing is,
question. I know it's
no,
very
I
loaded.
got you. The first thing is do what you do now great. Sometimes
Mm.
people want to get promoted before they're ready and they haven't displayed or shown themselves doing their role great. I would say that's the first thing. And the second thing is you got to have a network around you that's supporting you and helping you and guiding you to where you want to go. Because you can't just say, I want to go. You got to have a plan, you've got to execute, but do your job great and surround yourself around a network of folks that are supporting you because not everybody should be in your network, if you get what I mean, right? So make sure you're selective in the people that are in your network that are going to help you as you move forward, but do your job great. That's how you get seen. That's how you become visible. That's how you get promoted.
How you get promoted, ladies and gentlemen. And, folks are listening saying, Shay, this is making sense. And I know it's going to make some sense in my pocket too. But I don't really know, I don't know Michelle. I know she's famous all over the world, but I didn't get time to go Google her. I haven't been to her website yet. So slow down.
Right.
Take a moment
Yeah.
to let her tell her
Yeah.
backstory. So you know how this works. Who are
Right.
you? Because they want to know the
Yeah.
backstory. And then what was that
Yeah.
defining moment where you said, you know what? Helping women really rise, shine, and succeed is my jam. Talk to us.
Yeah, so I have an interesting journey. My first job, even before I got into corporate, was a bartender, right? But I knew in when I was bartending that I had some greatness in me and I wanted to do something in corporate. And so I went into corporate, Fortune 20 company, entry level. Matter of fact, my first job was an inventory specialist. I literally worked from entry level inventory specialist to the executive level. So I have seen and I have been in meetings. I have coached and mentored so many people in helping them because I feel like my corporate experience is what gives me the fire, the energy. It helps me connect with people in a real way because, titles are one thing, certificates are another thing, but living it, being there, being in their shoes, I think is what kind of differentiates me from others, right? Because I've been from the entry level to the executive level. And so I think it's important that I share my life experiences or excuse me, my corporate experiences, but I also took note throughout the years and seen some things and learned some things. It hasn't been just a smooth sailing for me, but I think those are the things that make you strong. Those are the things that make you a great leader is through experiences and what you learn from those experiences, whether they're failures or successes. It's important. So my journey was from entry level to executive level, and the last 10 years was executive. And so when I was in that role, I saw firsthand the challenges that women face through my career. For some reason, a lot of women gravitated to me, Shay. It was like that magnet, and so I became so passionate about it. And then there was a pivotal moment in my career where I said, "I know what I'm supposed to be doing. I know what my calling is, and that is helping women see their true value, their unique perspective, what makes them who they are. That's their superpower. And that's what I help unlock in my business today, MC Career Solutions."
I love it. And for those folks that are taking notes, by the way, I'm going to ask her to do something. She may not be prepared to do it, but she has three pillars. And you might be saying, Shay, I need step one, step two, step three that can get me on track. And there's some folks out there that think about empower, think about how do I elevate, think about how do I excel. And so, first, we want to know what's the backstory to the three E's. That's what I'm calling them. I don't know what they are, by the way. And
Yeah.
then take a moment, if you don't mind, and if you have a second, and just kind of share that because as you're listening right now, many of you are different places, different spaces. And any one of these three E's could be that breakthrough. I mean, how many ideas do you need to change your life? One. And
Yeah.
today could very well be your day. So, do you mind taking a moment and talking about the empower,
Absolutely.
elevate, and
Yeah.
excel?
So, yeah, I'm sorry. So I'll start with empower.
Yeah.
And empower is not about a title. Empower is about the ability to help someone help yourself do better. And when you empower yourself to do great things, you empower others. So, what I mean by that is empowerment is, to me, a gift that we all have that we must share. And then to power yourself, you've got to know who you are. You got to know your why to be able to feel empowered. And then once you get that, you're able to empower others. And elevate, to me, and these, let me just start with these words came to me, Shay,
Okay.
through my career, and they came top of mind. So when I talk about them and I talk about them passionately, I feel like those are the three E's to success. Let me go to excel. To excel, I said it earlier, but I'll talk about it again. You have to do what you do now great. You can't excel without the breadth of knowledge that you need to do it great. And excelling is not just a tactical thing, excelling can be within yourself as well. How do you excel as a leader? Well, you excel as a leader because you have a breadth of knowledge, you have the ability to rise above the standard. And to rise above the standard, you have to make sure that as a leader or as an individual contributor, that you have a goal, you have a plan, and you know where you're going. You can't excel if you don't have a plan.
Makes
You
sense
can't
and
excel.
sense.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Empower,
uh,
excel, and elevate. And elevate is the same. It's basically helping. I'm a big proponent of it's not about you. It's about you in a sense that you want to do great things. But when you help others and you pull others up and you excel and you empower others, things just come to you. A lot of leaders start thinking about just self. And when you got to think about more than just self, I'm not saying what you're doing is not important. Don't get me wrong. I'm saying that when you lift each other up, you create a circle of communication, collaboration with your peers, with people that are your mentors. That's how you excel, empower, and grow as an individual.
I love it. And I get to ask any question. This is so cool. And someone's leaning forward saying, Shay, this is great. I mean, this is good. This is perfect. Many of you, again, this is what you were born to do. And they might be wondering, well, how does she know? Here's the question. What type of things do you look for when it's time to move outside your company or the industry? So somebody might be sitting there saying, you know what, I've been stuck. They may not see it in that company, and they may say, hey, my purpose has changed. Yeah, I'm in finance these days, and I'm really thinking about getting into technology. Okay, but I can lead that because I've learned these skills. Crazy question, man, for someone who hadn't been there for 20 years. But I know some of you listening thinking, how do I know when it's time to move away from my company and maybe move to another company or another industry? Again, a loaded question. Y'all are at different places, different spaces. But I'm going to ask you if you can frame it for them and give them some perspective.
Yeah, I think start with your why, right? So I talked about that earlier. When you find out what your why is and what gives you purpose and what gets you up at night and what inspires you and what motivates you, and you look at where you are in that current role, and I'm going to give myself as an example, Shay, because I am that person. I was in an executive role. I had the title. I felt like everything was just perfectly aligned, but my why didn't align with my purpose of what I was doing. And so sometimes you got to self reflect and find out what is it that makes you uniquely you, and what is it that is your why? Because when you discover your why, then you can sit back and say, is what I'm doing contributing to my why or not? And for me, it was not, because my purpose was to help women, and I no longer could do that in the role that I was in. And so I felt like I got a tap on the shoulder. I had an eye-opening moment when I knew it was time to move on, because I was no longer following my why. My why had been lost in the executive title that I was working in. And so I think you have to really do some reflection on who you are and what you are, because you don't know where you're going if you don't know what your why is. You got to identify what your why is.
I like that. I mean, said very, very well. I didn't cut you off, did I? I was just
No, I
listening.
was good. Go
Okay.
ahead. We're good.
Because, you know, that's spot on. And the last question, then we're going to find out if you've ever had a setback. But the last question that might be on the tip of everybody's mind might be like, well, I love what I'm hearing, but I'm not at that area where I'm ready to move on, but I'm looking for a mentor to kind of help me along this journey. They should certainly hire your company. But I'm going to ask, what are maybe 3 characteristics they should look for if they want to hire like your company, let's say, to work with them, or maybe get a mentor? What are 3 things they should look for, or at least consider, so they don't waste a whole lot of time? And again, ladies and gentlemen, she can't go one to one to one to all you listening, but she can give you some perspective. What should
Yeah,
they look for?
that's a great question because oftentimes we think we just go out and get a mentor, and you really shouldn't. You should be strategic in getting your mentor. Number one, you got to get someone that's going to connect with you. What's the purpose of having a mentor if you have no genuine connection? So it's really important that you have a connection with somebody that you're looking for to be a mentor. Secondly, you got to have somebody that will push you in a way to make you better, right? Because if you have a mentor and they're not helping you identify areas where you have growth opportunities as an individual contributor or as a leader, then you're not going to grow having a mentor. So it's important that you have that as well. And the third thing I'd say about a mentor is you want someone they're going to be kind of your cheerleader, right? You need somebody that's going to help motivate you, help you identify the things that you have strengths in, someone that's going to hold you accountable, but in a way that motivates you. So not everybody is a mentor for everyone. Be selective, folks. Take your time finding a mentor. I know we hear a lot of times about go out there and get a mentor, but make sure you take the time because you are just the greatest asset to the mentor as the mentor is to you. It's a partnership. You grow together, and they're going to help you be your best possible in a way that is motivating. That's a mentor. Now, I could talk about sponsors if you don't mind,
Yes,
real
please
quick.
do. Yes.
Um, Sponsors are your cheerleaders. Those are the people that are in the room when you're not, and they are telling your story. Because believe me, when you're not in the room, you need someone that's going to be your sponsor that's going to advocate for you as a leader. Every year, corporations go through who's our top performers, who do we want to promote, and you want that sponsor in the room advocating for you. So there's mentors and then there's sponsors. And some people say, "Well, Michelle, I don't have a sponsor. I don't know how to get a sponsor." And I always go back to, again, make sure you shine in what you do because every sponsor I've ever had and every mentor I've ever had has just seen the work that I was doing. And sometimes you have a sponsor and you don't even know you have a sponsor because your work is speaking for yourselves. Your work speaks for your leadership, your work shows your merit. And so that person is your sponsor when you're not in the room. And it's important that we identify mentor and sponsors.
Got it. I love how you position that. You know, we have a segment here, and I think it's a good segue called "Today Is My January 1st." Now, for those folks who tune in every night at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you know what we're about to do. You might even wait to say those magical words. Today is my January 1st. No matter what day it is to you, Happy New Year to you. And for all the other folks who tune in for the very first time, welcome to the Happy Entrepreneur Show family. Today is my January 1st is our personal mantra at the show. It represents a fresh start. It represents a do-over. It means our past, no matter how dark and gloomy that past is, or how bright and sunny that past is back there, the past no longer equals the future. And so my question for Michelle on the other side is twofold. Number one, when you hear those words, today is my January 1st, what do you hear? What do you hear? And number two, was there ever a time you had a setback? Seemed like your life's been easy peasy breezy, but was there a time you had a setback? And if so, how did you bounce back from it?
Okay, let's start with my January phrase. Happy New Year, everybody. My January 1st actually wasn't just a day, I worked up to it. And the reason I'm so passionate about what I'm about to say about my January 1st is because I see it all the time and I was that person. My January 1st was when I realized I was no longer being myself in a big role at a Fortune 20 company. I had lost who I was. And that moment is where I had to hit my reset button and listen, hit the reset button and be my genuine self. And it took a lot, little took some self-reflection, but my January 1st was, whew, you are no longer yourself. It is time to hit the reset button. You be your authentic, genuine self, and everything kind of flourished from there. Because just think about not being yourself in any role. It could be gut wrenching. You wake up every day going to a job and you're not even yourself. It's powerful. Authenticity is your superpower. So I would say that. And I've had a lot of setbacks. Like I said, 26 years in the organization. I will tell you one of the ones that stand out the most for me, I was in a district manager role and I had the boss. You guys know what I mean by the boss. And it was a big challenge for me. I was in the role and they were trying to get me to be who I wasn't, back to the authenticity thing. And for a long time, I was working kind of with the mask on. I'd come to work looking sharp as a tack, but inside, I had lost who I was. Like literally, matter of fact, I would go home and my husband would say, hey, is everything okay? How's everything going at work? And I was challenged with this leader who was really, in hindsight, didn't value me as a leader. So here I am in a situation where I'm undervalued. I'm being told to be something that I'm absolutely not. I go to work every single day. They're talking to my team about the things that I'm doing wrong, and what do I do? And so I'm going to share with everyone because everyone's probably going to have the boss. We've all been through, no matter what we are, we've had the boss. And I mean, it physically made me sick, Jay. So what I did was I went to my mentor and I had a long conversation about who I was. And you know what's funny? They didn't even tell me what to do. I kind of discovered that myself. And so you have to have those conversations sometimes. But I was prepared. I had my notes, and it was a really low period in my career. And I went in there with my head high, and I kind of said, this is who I am as a leader. Here are the values that I bring forth. My results are XYZ. And I want to make sure, is there anything that I need to do differently to be a better leader for you? And I couldn't believe it. It was a game changer. It just changed the entire game because sometimes we're afraid to tackle the tough stuff, and the tough stuff's exactly what we need to do. You go in there at a place of sincerity and you have a conversation. We were never going to get along as personal. We weren't going to go out to lunch. We were not going to go out to dinner. I just wanted a professional working relationship. And so don't be afraid to hit things head on, but be prepared. Have your notes, know what you're going to articulate, and be clear and concise, and it can change the game.
I
And that's
love it.
exactly for me.
I love it, by the way. Bold, you rose, but you had to shine at the end of the day. I love it. You know, one of the questions I get to ask when we have time, we have a few minutes now, is what's one of the best pieces of advice you've ever been given? Now, I frame it for the audience so they understand you're not coming off the mountain with the 10 Commandments here. And you've had more mentors than you can probably remember these days. Don't know how many books you've read, by the way, and how many videos you watched and trainings you sat in. But if you had to step back, I say, man, see, I've been given a lot of advice, but here's one piece of advice that I've been given that I'm going to share with the audience that's helped me, and now you're going to pay it forward. What would it be and why?
I'm going to say this, and this is my mentor, my mama. So, my mother worked in a factory plant her entire life, and she was a hard worker. And one thing she always told me as I evolved and moved up the organization, she would say, don't get too big for your britches. Meaning, no matter how high you rise, you always stay grounded and humble in who you are. That has been my guiding principle. I've had to veer off a few times, but I never lose sight of my mother's advice. Never get too big for your britches. And you probably have heard, there's probably some people out there that have heard that saying before. And I stay true to that. And I think that's what makes me unique is that I try to stay humble, approachable, real. And my mom always made sure. And if she thought I wasn't, she would let me know. She would always let me know.
I love that. And as you was talking, saying that, thanks for sharing that story, by the way. It's kind of cool. People are looking over your shoulder behind you and saying, man, she has this picture back there. What's that quote and why is it so important that she has it right there behind her? And I love that, by the way. I think it says she believed and she could. Take a moment and talk about the significance of that quote and why it's so near and dear to you. We're just curious. We can see it right there.
Yeah, you can see it there. I always have it back there. It's kind of my motivator. It's like you have to believe in what you can do. I mean, we got to stop having people and things tell us what we can't, but we got to remember and believe in what we can. And when you believe in that and you think about that, whatever your self affirmation is, that happens to be mine, it's my motivator. You got to believe in yourself because when you do that, it just opens so many doors. So I just have to believe that I can. And I try to, live by that all the time. It's my reminder every day.
Great reminder. What do you do for fun when you're not out helping women rise through their careers and shining as an entrepreneur? What do you do when you're not out saving the world for women and a few good men?
In the world. I love to travel. So I love to travel. Family's super important to me. So I'm probably pretty boring. I like to be with my family. I like to spend quality time and I like to give back. I try to do things. I volunteer because it makes me feel good. And you know what else? Sometimes I like to just sit in my house and do absolutely nothing. Those are the best days where I'm just
That's kind of
relaxing and
cool. And you said travel. People are like, what's one place she likes to travel to, Shay? You don't let her off the hook. Like, what's one place she like to travel to and why? Since you brought that up first, we're just curious.
Yeah, so I've been to Japan. Long story, dad was in the Air Force. We lived in Japan growing up, and I always wanted to go back to Japan. So I was able to go back to Japan, and it was probably the most memorable trip that I've ever had in my life. It was everything and then some. And so that would probably be um, the best trip that I've ever taken. It
Wow,
had some
that's
meaning.
that's kind of cool. That's kind of cool. As we come down the home stretch, two-part question. Number one, what type of clients is your firm looking to work with these days, if any? And number two, how can folks connect with you? They're like, man, I like what I'm hearing. Shay. I'm raising my hand. Where should they go? What website? So how can folks connect with you if they want to stay in this conversation?
Yeah, we typically work with women who are in leadership roles who are looking to rise. And my saying is, we're looking for women who want to stand out and not blend in. And so that's the premise of what we do. We do tailored coaching. We do an assessment. So I created this assessment toolkit to kind of help us get to understand our individuals that we coach, and we make sure they're a good fit. And as long as you're willing to put in the work and you want to move up and aspire to be something great, we're the company for you. And so we have a website. It's www.mccareersolutions.com. I know it's a lot, so I'll say it again. It's www.mccareersolutions.com. And right now I'm doing a 30-day program in January. It's called thrive in 2025. It's all about being seen, being heard, getting promoted in 30 days. It's a transformational experience that you'll go through. I'd love for you all, if you're interested in it, you can follow me on LinkedIn. I'm taking applicants now. It's going to be kind of a boutique style because it's me personally. So I'm going to take about 10 women, and it's going to be a journey like you've never seen before, because 25 is right around the corner. And if you start 25 and you thrive in 25, you're going to have a successful year. So really excited about that program that we just launched out.
That's so cool. Well, let me say two things. Number one, thanks a lot for being on the Happy Entrepreneur Show. I know you can always make more money, but you can't make more time. So you're giving us the most precious resource you have, and I'm glad we connected through Diana, and I'm glad you're here now. So thanks for being on the show. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
And thank you. Thank you to viewers. Thank you for tuning in, by the way, because without you, well, we don't have a show. So we appreciate you allowing to stream into your home. Maybe we're on your TV monitor right now. That'd be kind of cool, by the way. Or maybe we're on an iPad or on the mobile device and you're listening and you're tuning in. Thank you so much. And I never get tired of reminding you every night at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time that you truly are amazing. You truly are incredible. I know it sounds like hokey dokey stuff, but it's not. You're here for a reason and a purpose. And no matter what's going on in your life, whether you're doing really well, and there's that next gear, next level, or you've been hit with the punch you never saw coming. The one thing I know to be true is that today is your January 1st. Because of just that one reason alone, your best is yet to come. Your best is yet to come. Your best is yet to come. With that being said, my name is Shay Brown. It hasn't changed. The Happy Entrepreneur. We out. Peace. Thanks a lot, Michelle. You're incredible.